Today's Mac Voices is supported by RemoteHQ. Collaborate as if you were in the same room. Visit remotehq.co/MacVoices for a free trial and 3 months free with the code MacVoices. Welcome to Mac Voices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, this is part 2 in a 3-part Mac Voices live panel discussion about CES 2021. Even though it went virtual, there were plenty of announcements and plenty of interesting things to talk about, and the panel did exactly that. So we're going to get right back to it, and I'll remind you that this is part 2. There will be a third part coming in the next edition of Mac Voices. Here we go. So let's go get away from some of the the higher end tech, because I don't know about you guys, it's all interesting and I like that, but I'd like to talk to the exhibitors who are making things that I'm more likely to buy in a year. I mean, I'm not in the market for a pickup truck, and I'm not in the market for a foldable phone at this point, but I came across a number of press releases and talking to some exhibitors of things that, I might do that. I might absorb that. So I'm curious, to take a walk around the room here and see what caught whose eye. Okay. Kelly, you just got here, so we'll let you start. I mean, is there a product or a couple products that really you thought were intriguing?
Something that I think is interesting overall, like as an overall trend, I haven't talked to like a ton of people about it or anything yet, is the number of approaches to noise canceling in headphones, whether it's on ear or over ear or in ear, and how what I saw a lot of this year in talking to a few different places and seeing some press releases was levels of noise canceling. So like everything seems to want to let you adjust like how much of the outside world you can hear. So like Apple is still sort of binary, right? Like you've got transparency mode or not. Those are your choices. And there's some other headphones out that are like you install an app on your device and then you can adjust the level of noise canceling. So maybe you have a little bit of noise to cancel. Like if you're in an office and there's just, general background noise, remember office buildings? If you work in like a general office with regular background noise, like maybe you have just a little bit of that on so that there's some awareness if somebody walks up and starts talking to you. But, if you need to obliterate it, if you're not in an office and you're home with kids and you need to block out all of the world for an hour, you can, ratchet up that volume and do that. And I think also the last year has also forced a lot of evolution, I guess, in headphones and headsets. Mostly because I also saw a lot of different designs. There's a lot of people getting into this. There's a lot of people getting into headsets, like with a built-in microphone on one side or the other. And one that I saw from Jabra that they've started making, it's got a boom mic on it. And when you flip it up, it's automatically muted. And then, which I thought was very cool. And like, obviously somebody has been using this, has used this and realized this would be a fantastic feature. When I don't have the mic in front of me, it doesn't work. And then they had another model where you flip it up and it tucks in. It's like an over ear headset and it sort of pops into the side and then it just becomes headphones that you can wear. I've seen a lot of people going, why, like, it used to be that if you had headphones that were wireless headphones, you could never use them plugged into anything. And that's not the case anymore. A lot of them now, you can have the wire if you want it, or wireless. You can use them while they're charging, things like that. There's been a lot of accommodation made for what feels like people are wearing their headphones a lot more than they used to. So that was a thing that I thought was pretty interesting. And also, I've seen a little bit more smart home / home automation stuff this year that is compatible with the big 3 assistants, with Google Home and the A Lady and the S Lady. And I will tell you, I was at a booth. I guess I don't know how to pronounce the air quotes around that, at a booth. And the guy starts saying A Lady, but like saying her name. like a bunch and just sitting there talking about it, and I could feel my shoulders coming up to my ears because I was like, no, I'm sitting here with my with my in-ears on and my microphone in front of me, like, and I'm like, you can't do it, you know. And I like had this really weird reaction. So I realized I'm hardwired not to say it unless that's, you know, unless I'm in another room, because I definitely don't ever say it in here because none of them are in here for me to activate. And I'm trying not to do it to anybody else. So I was sitting there getting a little tense, and then he was done. And I was like, okay, look, I have to tell you something. So it was very funny. He was like, oh my gosh, I never even thought about that. And I'm like, yeah. And this is my podcast setup. So every time I sit here, like I was stressed out a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. But there's been a lot of like HomeKit compatibility that I've seen at like as a matter of course, and a lot more interoperability. So if it has a hub, like if you've got other devices, they will all sort of play nice together on a network. It's like everybody making these things is realizing that you have to be a good network citizen, or you're not going to get into somebody's house because they probably already have one other thing, and you need to make sure everything plays nice together. And a lot more fundamental security recognition, I guess, would be how I would describe that. If it's got a default admin password, you can change it to something else and things like that. Just some real basic stuff that makes it a lot easier for, I'll just say Andrew and I to buy some of these things and put them in our houses, because we don't have to worry about like somebody getting into the network through this thing that we just bought. So
yeah.
Andrew's like, don't drag me into this, woman. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Guy, how about you? You sent me a couple items that honestly I took a real quick look at and tried not to, because I didn't want to get those in my head, and I have my own list. So what were a couple of things you saw that were interesting?
Okay, do you want the weird or the normal?
Yes.
Well, given you, I mean, I think there's
everything's
only one
weird
answer.
to you.
Oh, not necessarily. I've got some
I'm all
normal
about
things
the
in here,
weird.
too.
Bring
All right,
the
well,
weird, baby.
Let's
Guy,
start with
go weird. It's on brand.
okay.
Right.
Right.
Time permitting,
Well, then-
start with weird, and then time permitting, go to normal.
Okay, well we'll start with the weird then. 3D
Yes.
printed steaks.
Oh.
These are now, you know, the kind of faux meats that you've been seeing for like the last couple of years has been like ground beef and patties and things like that. Apparently there is new uses of technology in 3D printing that are allowing food scientists, I'm reading this direct, food scientists and tech visionaries to create alternatives for whole cut meats, reimagining vegan steaks that still offer the same flavor and texture as real steaks. And I'm kind of throwing up in my mouth a little bit as I'm saying this.
I would too.
That's not a thing, but I think Chuck's going to be into it because it's one step closer to a replicator.
Well, it's probably what Star Trek is all about, is 3D printed steaks. All right.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, there is. I mean, Kelly, you're not completely wrong, because you know we've been hearing about different things like
Chuck.
this, and so you know, it may be an intermediate. That's obviously an intermediate step, but you know, who's to say? Who's to
You know,
say?
every now and then in the news, I do hear
And
about
it's
3D printed organs for the
Yeah.
medical industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there was.
Yeah, but
ears,
they're
I
not
think, were-
intended. They're not intended for like permanent use right now. It's the kind of thing where, you know, you need a heart, or you need a kidney, or you need some part of something else that you have in your body right now, and there's not a
Yeah.
donor available. So
It's
what do
not-
you do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a heart,
Right.
but just the valve or something, you know,
Okay.
like a piece. But yeah.
Another weird one. Is your cat descended from Cleopatra? There's a company called Base Paws that brings DNA testing to cats, showcasing the allure of pet tech for really dedicated pet owners. Base
Andrew,
Paws
why
founder
haven't you
and
written this up?
How much does it cost?
I don't know. And CEO Anna Skaya, I believe, developed the world's first at-home DNA test for cats, which tells cat owners more about their cat's breed, nutrition, environment, and genetics, and enables owners to take better care of them. I don't see it as irrational, said Skaya about owners' love for their pets on CES Tech Talk podcast. I want my pets to have the best. Now, the one thing it doesn't mention here is either the heavy leather gloves or medical kit that will be required to take a DNA sample from your cat. That's not listed here, but I imagine it's got to be part of it.
And how much does it cost?
No idea.
So this is another vaporware. This is another seemingly vaporware type of.
Well, this is probably because I mean, there's already
We're most of the way
for
there.
for
I
everything.
mean,
Yeah,
Don't do it for dogs.
I would say 3D printed steaks
I
are
know
much
that.
farther away from being reality than DNA testing for
I
cats.
mean-
The thing is, if they don't have, so there's two questions. If they don't have a price, to me, right away, that's a red sign that a red flag that it's not real. And then the other thing is, okay, if you were going to get really nerdy about it, what's the veracity of the sample of the DNA of Petrie's cat?
Well,
So-
that's the thing.
Well, I guess you
my
start
guess
off
is they give you
with a
something-
base of saying, okay, well, here's DNA for what's considered to be pure Siamese or pure Himalayan
right.
or pure Scottish fold or pure, name whatever breed you're talking about.
Right.
And then you intermix that with the DNA from, Scruffy down the street who got out one night and came back pregnant. And you figure out, okay, well, these kittens are like part whatever that was out there and part Scruffy. So,
Yeah, because I know there's services that will do it for dogs. You used to see them all the time, and the air. Remember when you could travel on an airplane, and remember when airplanes had their in-flight, magazines.
I'm sorry, what's an airplane?
Okay, like I said, you don't remember. It's one of the words that vanished in 2020. But there used to be all these services that you could figure out. Okay, what are the breeds? If you have a mutt, what are the breeds in your mutt?
Right.
And it's service for like $89 or $99.
So, what was the name of this place, Guy?
It's Base Paws, BASEPAWS.
Okay, the fact that they did not call it 23 and Meow.
They did.
Oh,
They did. It's actually that is what it's called. 23 and Meow.
No.
According to this article.
I
I've got a link. I'll put the link in our little
Chuck,
chat here.
You have
But
several
before
questions.
I do that,
I know you do.
I've got one normal.
Oh my
one
God.
normal thing.
You are not
Okay.
kidding. I just looked it up. 23 and Meow.
Yes,
oh my
I
God.
wasn't kidding.
I was gonna have to make a full
Was
point
that
deduction
Sergey's
for that, but no,
article?
they get full points.
Oh, and check this out. It isn't like this is exactly brand new. They were hyping this through CES. I found an article August 14, 2019.
Oh,
Wow.
So
in the
last
before
year
times.
or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. But they still don't have a price on it. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right, Guy,
one normal
real
thing
quick.
before
One normal thing.
we go on. Okay, everyone knows about Pioneer. Everyone knows about CarPlay and Android Auto receivers. And frankly, I would not buy a car today that did not have CarPlay in it. However, if you have a car that does not have CarPlay, Pioneer has a new Android Auto Apple CarPlay unit, the DMHWT8600NEX, and that name just rolls right off the tongue.
WTF BBQ 3DS. Okay.
Exactly. But what makes this different is it's a single DIN chassis with no custom installation. So
Oh.
essentially, you've got like an 8-inch, 6 to 8 inch screen, depending on which model you get, that's slammed up against a single DIN chassis. The single DIN chassis goes in where your old radio used to be.
Yeah.
And now it sticks out a little bit from your dash, and you have a touch screen that you can use with Android Auto and CarPlay.
Hello,
No, that's
Sailor.
cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
And my
wow.
son Peter just bought a 2016 Nissan Sentra with a single DIN radio. And the one thing it didn't have when I went out to help him get this car was it didn't have CarPlay. And he was like, oh, well, I don't know, but I don't really care. I got Bluetooth. I can listen to music. It's like, you have no idea what you're missing. Because once you have CarPlay,
Yeah.
you won't want to drive a car that doesn't have CarPlay.
I know what I'm
So,
missing. I
yeah.
just don't drive enough to probably justify it. What's the street price on that bad boy?
I don't know if they've announced it, though. There was a link that was out there. I don't have it here in my show notes, to Crutchfield, which means that it is a unit
it's an actual thing. Yeah.
That's out there and available. So yeah, if you go to crutchfield.com, and I will right now, oh, come on pages. I will put the model name in our show notes.
So
it's
one din
DMH-WT8600NEX.
Google it.
It's a crappy name, but
it is
really clever.
It is
model name.
Its friends call it Vicky, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just call me Horatio.
Poor Mr. Kelly. He's going to come home tonight, and I'm going to be like, how much longer are we keeping the Subaru? Because if we're keeping it, it needs an upgrade. So
Today's Mac Voices is supported by RemoteHQ. Collaborate as if you were in the same room. Visit remotehq.co/MacVoices for a free trial and 3 months free with the code MacVoices. Collaboration is going to be even more important this year than last, whether you are in the same room or in different towns, cities, states, wherever. Unfortunately, the latter is more likely. Fortunately, there is RemoteHQ. RemoteHQ lets you and your team work from wherever they are, like they were in the same room. Just log into RemoteHQ using a browser. Yes, a browser, not any special software, so you can use any device on any platform. And you and your team can be in a collaborative workspace that can not only have your team in it, but also any of the apps that you depend on to get your work done. Apps like Trello or Whiteboard. RemoteHQ's persistence lets you save your work across recurring meetings so that you can pick up where you left off. That cuts down on the inevitable repeats and wasted time that happens in face-to-face meetings. Those are just a couple of the many features that RemoteHQ brings to your productivity table. We will talk about more, but why not go to remotehq.co/MacVoices to find out for yourself and sign up for a free trial? And when you have all your questions answered and are ready to launch, use the code MacVoices for 3 months free. That's remotehq.co/MacVoices for a free trial and 3 months free with the code MacVoices. Get 2021 started right for your team collaboration with remotehq.co/MacVoices. Thanks to RemoteHQ for their support of MacVoices. David, jump in. What do you got?
Yes, I got. I'll get two things here. First one that's brought that. I'm going to talk normal stuff here. Okay.
What's your normal stuff?
Kingston just came out with a really cool workflow station for card readers for photographers. This thing was really slick.
That looks cool.
Yeah, it has these. It has 4 slots with USB-C plugs on them, and you can buy mix and max. It's called the flexible workflow system, and you can do SD cards, micro SD cards, and it's got USB-C plug on it. So you can take these modules out and plug them in directly into your computer, but you could also have the station and be able to copy between all the cards all the time. And it was really, really cool. So it comes with the station plus an actual one of the card readers, and then you can buy 3 others to add to it, whether it be micro SD, SD, and interchange them. The street price is $135. And I think those other adapters, they told us told me around $40. So I thought that was really cool. And then the other one was a company I had just interviewed today. Actually, it's made by a company called Fedging. I mispronounced it, so it's an iPad. It's an iPad, and I felt bad when he corrected me. It's called the Hubble. Well, it was okay. It's the Hubble.
The
Hubble iPad case. Yeah. And I interviewed these guys. These guys are real. It was a really, really cool product. What it is it'll be for the iPad Pro 11 or the iPad Pro 12.9, and it has a full-out hub on it, which includes incredibly pencil support. It's got a travel switch. You can turn it on and off so it doesn't take up battery power. 2 USB-C ports, one of them for charging, USB-A port, SD and micro SD card. Plus, it has a 4K HDMI connector, so you can plug it in. And they added an audio jack, because people miss that audio jack, so you can plug in. This case was it was on Kickstarter. He told me today, and then it's going to be out in February. It's $99 for the for the 11-inch, and I think $110 for the 12.9-inch. So really cool, two really cool boxes to me. I have more, but we don't have time.
Yeah, and I want to go around and hit a couple things. I want to throw a couple in. Shoot, and I lost the one. I lost it already. Well, first, how about arguably one of the most absurd products that we'll probably sell a few of, but that is a $16,000 bathtub from Kohler.
Yeah, that's
right.
It does everything that you can imagine a bathtub would do and even more. But really, I don't quite understand.
Disposable money.
This is just brand building.
The thing is, Chuck, if you don't have it, you just wouldn't understand.
Well, that's possible. But I do want to give Kohler though and Moen a little bit of credit, and especially Kohler, because if you get past the bathtub, they were showing some of their kitchenware, and I have to admit, I really didn't see any point in having an A-Lady interface to my faucet. That just didn't make a lot of sense.
Well, they had it to the shower head last year, so
yeah. But now I have to tell you, when they were talking about it and they were showing, and the guy said, "Yeah, A-Lady, give me a cup of water." And it dispensed a cup of water, a measured cup of water.
Okay. I see it now.
Yes, give me a quart of water. And it gave you a quart of water. And it's like, okay, they're pushing the idea of water conservation, which kind of flies in the face of the $16,000 bathtub. But that said, it's like, okay, I would not have thought of that. I get it. And they were showing that, the touchless turn on, turn off, change the temperature, and making a point that you can do some of this stuff without ever touching anything. And it's like, okay, now I'm starting to appreciate the fact that this makes a certain amount of sense. So, kind of good and bad. The other one I wanted to mention is, and I hope I'll pronounce it right, Nupel. Did any of you see Nupel?
I saw the name. I saw
the name go by.
To ask.
Yeah, Nupel is something that attaches to the bottom of your iPhone.
Slow your roll, guy. It's fine.
And it's a hearing. It's hearing assist. Now that's not really new.
That's who they were. Okay.
Yeah, but the idea was that you can take this device, and if you have AirPods Pro, you can steer it. Normally you'd attach it and you'd aim it. And so here I'm aiming at David and here I'm aiming at Mark. But if you have AirPods Pro, you steer it with your head. Where
so the
you
person
turn
you're looking at is what it's picking up. I saw their press release and it looked cool. Yeah.
What's the name of the company?
Nupel? Wait a
Nupel?
minute.
NOUPLE or something like that.
I like the name.
They need a new name. If you can't remember after talking about it.
Yeah, but I mean an OOPL. Yeah.
NOOPL. Yeah.
That's it was very, very cool.
I saw that go by, and I'm interested in the assisted hearing stuff. I know people who could benefit from it without it having to be a whole thing to necessarily have hearing aids or something. Like they're like people in that neighborhood between like I have average hearing and I could use an assistive device, and there's like there's a gap in between those, and I know some people who kind of live in that valley, and so finding something like this, like if you just would stick one of your AirPods in during the day, like it would be much easier for you to hear people, or along the lines of what Nupel is doing. That so I'm always kind of keeping an ear out for that to see when that turns into something I can sort of soft pitch. So
yeah,
so Chuck, how much did it cost? Did they have a price or?
I do not believe they did, Mark. If they do, I don't remember it. But I definitely want to do an interview with them, because it's one of those things that it looked. I read about it, it's like, and then when he showed it to me, it's like, oh man, you really have to see it and see the interface to understand what's happening. And once you understand it, then it takes on a whole new depth of meaning. So I definitely am going to be talking to them.
Right, because I mean this leads to bridges to one thought I've had in the back of my mind for a while, since Apple introduced the AirPods Pro with when they introduced, when was it, WWDC or in this fall, the audio changing capability, that would be perfect as a hearing aid assist device, because everyone complains about how much they're raped and pillaged for the price $5,000, $6,000 for hearing aids, and basically Apple has it there. They just need a little bit of app support. So with this new thing, that sounds like that's truly going to be fascinating. And again, we're all fantasizing about what future Apple products or apps might be, but that would be something I think that would be good for people and good for the world in general.
Yeah. Jeff, I know you've been probably just watching on a little more casual basis, but what have you seen? Anything that caught your attention?
Well, the first thing that caught my attention was, excuse me, what I wasn't seeing, and that was a big push for home office products. I really expected we would see a lot of that this year, simply because so many people are now working from home.
I have a partial counter to that, but it's like 30%.
Yeah. Well, okay, and thank you for that validation, because if you could give me only a 30%, to me that actually backs up my feeling that
yes, indeed.
It was a target poor year for home office. And
all I really saw was headphones. Like I said earlier, like the headphones and the
like
headsets.
the Jabra stuff.
That was about it that I really saw that could even be construed as this is a great thing for folks who are working from home now. I saw that. I saw one other product from a different company, and that was it. It was a sit stand, laptop stand, so that you can work someplace else and still get have your laptop at like a reasonable angle, and then also to raise and lower the level. So like if it has to be at the table and you have to stand up or something, you can make it taller. That was like all I saw. That was everybody works at home now, and we're kind of and we're doing something to assist with the new reality for a lot of people. Here's the thing. And there really wasn't a lot of that.
Do you think the problem could be that most of the stuff that you see at conferences like this have been in the works for a very long time, whereas it's been about a year since all of this kind of first started.
Yeah.
And there's a very good possibility that people just haven't had the chance to dedicate resources toward home office products, thinking possibly that by the time they got it researched and they got it developed and they got it marketed and they got it to market out there for people to buy, the pandemic could be over and everyone's is back at the office again.
Well,
that's probably not going to be the way it's going to happen.
Let me interject, to your comment, Guy, and this is the 30%. I was saying about Jeff is I saw there was a variety, 4 maybe 5 different themes on home purifiers or air purifiers, and some of them just seemed like there are new companies out there whose names I had never heard of, and I certainly don't remember. They were basically offering little compact devices that have a HEPA filter in it and will run a fan and suck up air and spit it back out. There were a couple that seemed to have, in addition to having air and having a filter, they would actually have a UV. Ultraviolet light generator, so that it would kill anything that it's spinning back out. So
if it's in the house, you're already breathing it in.
But it's too late.
You've already breathed it in.
So this is the thing. They were all talking about them. The range from anywhere from like 200 to 500 square feet. So they'd obviously thought about it. And one of them was battery operated. So I think. Like you said, COVID is new, so people are hustling. And to me, the test was okay. Could they articulate a price, or if there's no price at CES, I just think it's just a dream and we never materialize.
Well, a lot of products that you see at CES that don't have a price on them. This is a test
market research. It's market research.
This is market research. Yeah.
And they see what sort of interest there is in the product, and then they decide if they're going to move forward with it. Yeah. So the thing that I did like or that I am interested in that I saw, and this is actually not like home office or computer related. And for me is actually a first, and it's television related. I have never been interested in televisions at CES, and every year I would look to see what they were pushing to know what the next thing is that they're hoping that they can trick consumers into thinking they need to get them to buy TVs more often. We went through the 3D television phase. We went through all those curved television. Every year was like something else. So this year, I saw something where I thought, oh, this is actually really compelling. And it's from LG. They have a new line of OLED televisions that cost a lot less than other OLED TVs on the market. Mm-hmm. And I saw that and I'm like, okay, this is actually compelling because there's a lot of cool stuff that goes along with the OLED TVs. But honestly, they're just priced out of a lot of the markets.
People's market. Yeah.
Yeah, they really are.
So now we have the A series, which brings the prices down. I mean, this isn't something like you're going to go buy a 55-inch TV at Best Buy or Walmart for $250 and go home with it. But if you want to get into that OLED space and it's just been a little too pricey for you so far, that A series is coming out, and I think that is going to help drive the market to a place where OLED becomes more affordable across the board.
That's awesome.
And and at that point, maybe it'll finally be time for me to look at replacing my, seriously, I think it's a 15-year-old Sony Bravia 32-inch TV.
Let me know when you do, Jeff. Mr. Kelly is also known as Mr. Research, and I know way more about TVs than any reasonable person ever needs to know. And
awesome.
recently Costco has started putting, I think they're 60 or 70-inch TVs out front. That's like one of the nice OLED ones. And he came home a little faint and a little flushed. I think he's got a case of TV fever. So
I can appreciate that.
So let me know when you're looking, and I'll help you sort it out.
Awesome. You rock.
That wraps up part 2 of our 3-part discussion of CES on MacVoices Live. We finish it up in the next edition of MacVoices. I hope you will join us. Until then, and as always, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.